Good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. Item 2 on our agenda this morning is deliberate and consider possible actions regarding countywide burn ban. Ray, can you give us some insight? All right. Let's bring some for everybody next time.
Provided these documents this morning. The first one is our current KVDI or drought index. The low is 140, the high is 511 with an average of 290. KVDI is a good indicator of soil moisture, but it doesn't necessarily indicate fire potential. So it does tell us that we do have reasonably good soil moisture from the first 8 inches of soil. And that the green is starting up out there. It doesn't account for the form grasses that we typically see early in the spring and in the winter. We did get, I believe, about a quarter of an inch of rain overnight, a little more on the west side, but not as much on the east side generally, according to the radar indicator. And the next document is the drought monitor that shows us in moderate drought. About half the county and the other half is drought to a little bit northwest of the drought. That is from last Thursday. They only released that every Thursday. So it's a few days old. It doesn't count for a little bit of rain we may have gotten the last couple of days. The next document is our drought outlook for the next 3 months. With La Nina, it would infer, based on history, that it would be a little bit drier, a little bit warmer than normal. And last one of those is another document that has a 6 to 10 day outlook that shows generally drier, below normal precip, and temperature a little bit below normal also in the next few days. There is a forecast for some rain or precip anyway, winter precip weekend. Okay, that's right. Thanks, sir. One other document I did want to provide, and that I hope people will be more familiar with. I try to put it out there every now and then so folks know about it. But it's the outdoor burning in Texas, the outdoor burning rule, and it's available online. It's published by TCEQ, and you know, it starts off with saying that there's no outdoor burning in Texas. And then it goes on to say, under these few exceptions. And then it lists all of those exceptions that, if there is not a burn ban on, are okay to burn. And my point in this is that if folks would follow what it says they should be doing, we probably wouldn't have many of the issues we have with careless burning that cause these fires sometimes. But, of course, burning only in the unincorporated areas, or if your town or municipality has an ordinance, you have to check with them first. Make sure that the wind, don't burn unless the wind and weather conditions are such that the smoke and other pollutants will not present a hazard to the public road, landing strip, or navigable waterways, and that it will not adversely affect any off-site structures containing sensitive receptors. Sensitive receptors are people, animals, or plants. And so you would also post someone to flag traffic if the smoke from your fire is going to blow across the roadway. Keep fires at least 300 feet downwind or 300 feet away from any structures that have those sensitive receptors. Burn no earlier than an hour after sunrise and stop your active burning before an hour before sunset. The wind should be between 6 and 23 miles an hour while you're burning. And do not burn any electrical insulation, treated lumber, plastics, non-wooden construction or demolition materials, heavy oils, asphaltic materials, which would be shingles, potentially explosive materials, chemical waste, or other items containing natural or synthetic rubbers. And so I usually tell people that if you're going to burn, you have to have, the material have to come from your property. So you cut it, chopped it, mowed it, or raked it, and then it burns on your property. And then all of those other conditions met, other than your household bag of trash from your daily living. So it really is pretty limited, and it tells you that you will also stay with your fire during the active burning period and make sure it doesn't spread and make sure it's contained. And that if you light it, you're responsible for it. You're responsible for any damages, injuries, or anything else that occurs as a result of that. And so, we put on burn bans, and they have a purpose. If people would burn appropriately, if they must burn, we probably wouldn't have near the problems we have.
Okay, you're our fire marshal. What's your recommendation?
At this time, I feel we're generally in our typical spring conditions for this time of year. We do have dormant grass out there, but we do have soil moisture. So on those dramatically dry days that we may have, when the humidity is going to be very low and the wind's very high, then people shouldn't burn it. That's common sense, and unfortunately, it's an overused term and an under-practiced art. But burn bans don't stop the electrical power lines. They don't stop the fires off the side of the road for cars and tires and chains. I don't think there is a cure-all or a magic bullet. It's a lot of different things that we need to be doing. But right now, generally, this is no different than any other spring, and I don't think at this point we need one.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Ray? Christian, add a link on our website for this information, would you please? And not just when we're under a burn ban, but all the time.
I think I'll push it out on my social media.
So how did we get to this point?
That we have a burn ban?
Yeah.
I consulted with each of you, and each of you consulted with your fire chiefs, and it was pretty well unanimous that most of the fire chiefs of the volunteer fire department would prefer that we have one.
Yeah, my three departments in my said they were real good with it.
So if we have a burn ban, can people that have prescribed burns, if they have professional, sorry, Ray. I should have asked you before you got away. People that do prescribed burns, I know there's professional folks that get licensed to do that. Can they still do those kind of burns in a burn ban?
Under our current order, there is a stipulation that allows for burns that are conducted by a prescribed manager, certified under Section 153 of the National Resources Code and meet the standards of 153 the Texas Natural Resources Code, can burn. Now, that does require a very significant amount of planning, preparation, and resources to do it right.
Yeah.
But that is generally not an area where we would have a problem either, because of everything they do to appropriately burn for agricultural reasons. There's a pretty limited window of time that you want to do those burns, and it's when things will burn good, but not dramatically either. They also know that on a really bad day, you don't do it. So, but it is monitored and supplied and resourced and managed appropriately.
Yeah, just because they're licensed and everything, you don't go out and light it on a 30-mile-an-hour wind.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
Anything else for Ray?
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, sir. We have one public comment. John Barthush, is that correct, John?
I was here before the meeting with Ray, and what he just said just answered all my questions. Our ranch out north of Munster, we've been doing prescribed burns for 30-plus years, and our window is closing. I'm trying to get our winter burns in, and we got all the preps done. We have our plan ready, and I'm going to bring the plan over to Ray so he has it and looks it over. He'll tell me if we need to do something different, but we have a prescribed burn manager ready to go. And we were planning our window. We were going to try to do one between the 11th and the end of the month. And after that, it's going to get too green. So I hope it does. I hope we get a little more rain. But as long as, like he said, it answered my questions, as long as we have all of our plans in place and we're good. I was just worried that all the prep we did would be all knocked out if we couldn't be able to do it.
Sure.
So it looks like it's all good to go.
Okay.
Anybody got any questions for me?
No, sir. Great. Thank you.
Ray, can I get you back up for just a minute? No, I'm sorry, Ray.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us an overview on what's caused the fires recently? Is it still some welders or just in general?
I think the welding and hot work folks have gotten the message, so over the last 2 weeks, I haven't heard or noticed any fires created by that. We have had, I'm trying to think which ones we had, there was an oil-filled, what appeared to be an oil-filled electrical line up by Woodbine Friday that caused that one. North of Munster, I believe one of those was somebody burning. North of Moss Lake was a gentleman out clearing brush in a pasture on a day that he shouldn't have been doing what he was doing. Burning brush, burning cedar that he was cutting down. The one in Grayson a few weeks ago, that large one over there was a truck that hit a power line during some work out in the field.
Oh, that's what that big one was?
Yes, sir. Some off the road.
The rash up and down 35, is that Hot Wheels or?
I don't know. I mean, it could be, tires and brakes blowing out. It could be chains dragging, could be a cigarette thrown out. A car that just pulls over and parks on top of that little bit taller grass and gets their catalytic converters on it will start a fire. There's a lot of different things off the highway there. But it's a mix.
I'm just curious as to how many of them the ban would have prevented. I mean, the only fire chief I have in precinct 1, he's not worked up one way or another. I think he would support the other chiefs. And of course, I've got some individuals that's encouraged us to leave it on.
And I don't disagree that the careless burning is taxing our volunteer firefighters. They've all got jobs and they have other things they can be doing.
I hate to restrict people, but it's also kind of opened everybody's eyes up to, hey, maybe I should be paying attention to this. So maybe if we did lift it a little bit further down the road, we've heightened awareness.
Thank you.
It's as much about publicity as it is anything. Has Lindsay been going out to very many?
Oh, yeah. And the KBDI, I mean, that is a deal that we use, but in the wintertime, we have a lot more vegetation because we had a wet year last year. So the bar ditches are full. I mean, we try to keep our bar ditches mowed down the best we can, but, people around their houses and stuff, some people don't keep that cleaned up, and there's a lot of stuff that's tall and it's dry. This little rain we got, I mean, if you think about, but think about getting out of the shower, you dry your hair, then it's dry again. But underneath is wet, you try to get across there with the trucks, and we get stuck. Then it takes off and keeps going. It's hard for us to get to those. And that's speaking on the fire side. On the commissioner side, I understand that people need to burn and that type of stuff, but like we've seen, it seems like people are being careless. And I mean, that's the way I look at it as far as if we just got spring to get here a little bit, get some more green grass, I think we'd be a lot better off.
I think it's crazy that in my little over 3.5 years now, this is the first time we've talked about a burn ban.
But we have been fortunate.
Been very, very fortunate.
We're here today to ratify the emergency order, is that correct?
That's what I understand.
Or to rescind it.
Or rescind it. Is that good for 10 days?
7.
7. So we won't have another court prior,
Next Monday.
and that exceeds your 7-day window?
It does.
Can we do it, say a 30-day here now?
What?
That's 30 day?
I don't think, you said do it for 30 days?
Yeah, or
No.
20 days?
We never have put a date on it, that way we can pull it off. If we get huge rain, you don't want to say 30 days out.
We can ratify his, but can we put in one to say that we're in a burn ban now?
You can go ahead and ratify it. I think you can, can't you extend it, just make it regular and it doesn't come off until we pull it off?
I'm not saying it's good for 90 days.
90 days. So if we ratify it, it's good for 90 days, and then if it starts raining next week and it never quits every day.
Right.
And the grass gets green.
That was going to be my
You
question.
can have a meeting and rescind it.
Well, my question was if, let's say we get some really good rains in the middle of our court cycle, which the rains can be a double-edged sword. You can have fire trucks stuck because people start burning, but if it happens in the middle of a court cycle, can the judge lift?
No, not without us meeting.
No.
And
I didn't know if that power was on both sides of that or not.
We're all down here nearly every day anyway.
Right, we can always pop a meeting. Yeah, that's not an issue, I just didn't know.
We just got to meet the 72-hour thing.
Yeah.
But if we get moisture and if we continue to get heat, we know grass will come on. So,
Well-
I'm getting, my cows have slowed down already.
The dead grass that's there is like gasoline, and it's going to get down to 19 or 20 again this weekend, and that just sucks the water out of everything. You all have been wetter than what we've been on that side of the world. It's still a little drier over there. We were in the red up until the last rain.
It looked like the south side, did I read it correctly? We're not even in a drought. Well, the KBDI's.
Yeah, it's super dry though on my
But
precinct.
that dead grass goes up like gasoline. I don't care if the ground's wet or not.
When you get up around the river, it's
Yeah.
18 inches tall,
Oh,
2
yeah.
foot tall.
Maybe
I mean,
bigger
if
than that.
If it gets to the grass, it's
Yeah.
going to run.
And then our winds are supposed to be, and that's what the deal is, the winds and the humidity.
Yeah, it's March.
And
But no,
it's
I
not
just,
fun on them.
I just reiterate, it wouldn't tie into X amount of days.
Right.
It's on until we collectively
right,
gather
yeah.
up and take it off if we go make a move here.
I just didn't know how long that,
It's there till we
90
take it
days.
off.
Okay.
It's what it is.
Well, it's actually the referendum would say 90 days.
Yeah.
but we can pull off at any time.
Anytime.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that.
Well,
Anybody have a motion?
I make the motion, we keep the burn ban in effect until we see to pull it back off.
Have a motion by Commissioner Arndt to keep the countywide burn ban in place.
I second that.
Have a second from Commissioner Snuggs. Any further discussion? All in favor of extending the countywide burn ban for 90 days, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item 3, adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Snuggs.
Everybody's
A
got to sign.
second by Commissioner Arndt. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.